Ladies and gentlemen, taking the court now is the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer, Collegiate Basketball Hall of Famer, one of the greatest coaches in Washington State history. Please welcome back home to Pullman, George Raveling.
Thank you for bringing me back home. At this moment, we're gathered to celebrate the achievement of not a single coach. We are honoring a litany of persons who made it possible for the coach to be selected. No one achieves success alone.
Coach, thank you for everything you've done for Washington State. As that banner goes up, we want Cougs all over the world to see your name, and just remember, you can change the world from Washington State University. Absolutely. Go Cougs, let's put that thing up.
When I was 9 or 10, 11 years old, never once did I ever dream of being a basketball player. The truth is, I guess basketball found me. I didn't find basketball. That's the interesting aspect about it. Clearly, I would have never gone to college if it wasn't for basketball. My parents would have never been able to afford to send me to college. I got lucky my senior year, and I was one of the top scorers in the state of Pennsylvania. And a guy came up to me and he handed me his business card, and he said they wanted to offer me a scholarship. Honest to God, I had no idea what a scholarship was. I mean, and we're not talking about 1955, but honestly, I had no idea what a scholarship was. And so there, basketball starts to become my mistress. When you go back and you put the Washington State hire in 72 of me, George Raveling, a so-called black coach, it was a hell of a gamble on their part.
Be patient, get the ball up the half court and call timeout.
People might not recognize, I had never been a head coach in my life. I had no experience as a head coach. I'm an Easterner coming west. That was the first time I'd ever been on the western half of the United States in my life.
Whatever you do, don't give them a three-point play in there.
And so they took a gamble on me, and thank God it paid off. And at the time, the story was not headlined as Washington State hires the first black coach in the conference's history and in the school's history. But when you are the first, you have to embrace the expectations and the responsibilities that come with being the first. The thing that I knew was I absolutely could not fail, because if I failed, the doors for other so-called black coaches are going to be closed. Honestly, I could say without hesitation, I loved every single second I coached at Washington State.
Freedom Now movement, hear me. We are requesting all citizens to move into Washington, to go by plane, by car, bus, any way that you can get there. Walk if necessary. We are pushing for jobs, housing, desegregated schools. This is an urgent request. Please join. Go to Washington.
I was too far away from graduation at Villanova, and I ended up going down to the March on Washington at the suggestion of my best friend's dad. For some reason, he had an idea that this was going to be a significant event. We drove down that Friday night while we were out moving around the city. We decided to go down to the Washington Monument Grounds just to see what it looked like down there. And when we were walking around, a gentleman came up to us and he said, "Are you guys coming tomorrow? Would you guys want to volunteer?" And we said, "For what?" He said, "To be security guards." So we said, "Sure, we'll do it." He said, "You're going to be assigned to the podium because we're going to have double security up there." So we were up at, served with about 15 other people as security guards around the the podium, and so there were speakers all day long, but Dr. King was the last speaker. So they had told us when he gets down to the last paragraph, they wanted us to start to close in the V around them, because we were going to take him out the back of the Lincoln Monument. And just as he was finishing, he started to fold the speech. And I said to him, I said, Dr. King, can I have that speech? So as he's folding it and handed it to me, the rabbi on the other end who's doing the benediction says, Dr. King, that's the greatest speech I ever heard. And so his attention shifted to the rabbi, and that was it. And so I now had the speech. But remember, no one knew then that it was going to take on the historic context that it did. So it took 50 years for that speech to take on the historic significance that it has.
Black lives matter! Yes, sir. Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Yes, sir. Black lives matter! Yes, sir.
Black Lives Matter created a social dialogue that was necessary. And I look on this whole concept of black history, and I think black history must be made valued and accessible as American history. The reality is, if not to study and understand black history makes the study of American history inadequate. To me, there is no American history if there is no black history, and there's no black history if there's no American history. So the two of them are tightly wedded together in my mind. And to suggest anything else is somewhat insulting. The most incredible circumstance, and it's hard for a person to comprehend this in this day and age of our social system, but not once in 11 years did I ever experience any overt racism at Washington State. It was kind of like a progressive marriage. Together, we just ended up being able to build a meaningful and a happy and productive marriage.